Good afternoon, everyone.
Good
Good afternoon,
afternoon.
everyone. It is our pleasure to have Dr. R.V. Kumar, Principal Scientist and Head GSM Division, ICR IGFRI Jhansi, with us. Sir, it is a pleasure of having you with us.
Okay, thank
Sir
you.
has, Sir has chosen a topic of climate resilient silvopasture systems for national security of animals and humans. Sir, the session is going to be about 1 hour long, maybe 5 minutes less for the
Okay.
interaction at the end. Please start, sir. You are audible as well as visible, and your presentation is also visible.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Good afternoon to all the participants. Uh, the topic given to me is the climate resilient silvopasture system for nutritional security of animals and humans. Now coming to the what is the silvopasture system? Silvopasture system is the combination of trees, forest plants and livestock together. So we have to combine the three systems. It will be trees, it will be forest plants and livestock in an integrated and intensively managed system, because you have to integrate all these three components in such a way that it is highly intensively managed, so that it will be a fruitful system, and it can provide the benefit to the human being as well as livestock for whole the year. And silvopasture system is practiced where soil fertility is poor. Basically, this system is being practiced where crops cannot be grown profitably. And we have to use such type of lands which are still unutilized, or you can say that underutilized, and that type of land can be best suited for this silvopasture system. Now coming to the agri-silviculture system of agroforestry, here we integrate crops with perennial woody trees, that is called also the multi-purpose tree species, along with crops. Some of the soils which has you can say that relatively good, you can go with the agri-silviculture also. All these systems utilize the land mass intensively and synergistically, with increase in soil fertility and soil organic carbon contents. So we have to use all these components synergistically, so that it can increase our the soil fertility, so that our the poor lands becomes slowly converted into the fertile land, and that can be used for even crop after 10 to 15 years of use of the silvopasture system. By effective utilization of wastelands for fodder production, the tree-based systems serve as a sustainable land use technology for livestock production. And certainly, whenever we are talking of our fodder system, livestock is one of the important component. Whenever we are talking of the livestock, we have to go for the silvopasture for the effective utilization of our land, that is called the alternate land use system. The existing intensive agriculture practices are sustained at the expense of our endangered natural resources. Certainly, our natural resources, with the passage of time, it is decreasing, and we have to judicially use the natural resources. Certainly, its use is much required in the agricultural crops, but certainly we have to use in such a way that our system, our natural resources can be also used for our this silvopasture system, or you can say the for wasteland development, for degraded land development. And there is a direct relationship between herbage yield and availability of irrigation water. Irrigation water is one of the important natural resources. Soil and water is important natural resources. Out of this, irrigation water is also one of the important natural resources. The limited water resources, however, enable only 63 million hectares country's cropped area under irrigation, and that too lion's share goes to food crop. Actually, our facility is to provide irrigation for the 63 million hectares, and certainly if there is a limitation for the irrigation water, priority will be for our the crops, followed by our this you can say the silvopasture system or horticulture system, or the trees grown on the wastelands. And in view of the mounting human population, the forest farming suffers from the twin problems of meager allocation of land and water resources, which does not commensurate with the huge livestock population. Certainly, livestock population is huge, but allocation of the land and water is still not in accordance with this our natural resources. Certainly, priority will go to the our agricultural crops. Optimizing water use in cultivated fodder crops has a great significance, because whatever limited uh, water is available for the fodder crops, we have to optimize how best we can go for the water use efficiency, how best we can go for the energy use efficiency, so that the per drop water can be converted into in terms of the water use efficiency. And in this context, scientific water management will hold the key to intensive agriculture in the year to come. So certainly, water management is also one of the important components whenever we are talking of the climate resilient, our silviculture system. Now, what is the need for climate resilient forest production? Why we are talking of the climate resilient? To meet further demand of rising Indian livestock population. Whenever we are talking, this is the data related to the 90th livestock census, and this is the 20th livestock census. Whenever you see there is an increase in the population of the cattle, there is an increase in the population of the buffaloes, certainly there is an increase in the population of sheep, goats. So when we are observing from comparing from the 19th livestock to the 20th livestock, there is an increase in the population, and overall it is around 4.43 increase in terms of the number of our livestock population. So if number is increasing, certainly you have to increase the amount of the feed and fodder for the livestock. So certainly our land is a limited resources, our natural resources are also in a limiting fashion. Certainly we have to see how best we can use go for the alternate land use system, which will be the climate resilient. And certainly productivity of the livestock in our country is relatively lower in comparison to some of the developed countries. Certainly we have to see how best we can go for increasing the livestock productivity by utilizing these limited our land and natural resources available for the production. Now coming to the current livestock and fodder scenario in India. Livestock sector ensures year-round income. Certainly, when we are going for the farmers, we are advocating, and they are also of the opinion that we should have our animal and our agriculture sector is really dominated with the livestock also, one of the important component of our farming community. And this livestock acts as an insurance against failure of agriculture crops. Certainly, there is a vagaries of the climate. Sometimes there is a drought, sometimes there is a flood, and in that time our livestock sector acts as an insurance against failure of the agriculture crops. And more than 80% of the rural families are dependent on the livestock for livelihood. Certainly a major chunk of the rural families are dependent on the livestock for the livelihood. So certainly we have to see how best we can go for increasing the productivity of livestock in terms of the milk production, in terms of the meat production. And livestock productivity is low. Certainly we have to see how best we can utilize the livestock productivity by managing our fodder system, by managing this breed improvements. What are the major reasons for the poor livestock productivity? Certainly, whenever we are talking of the reasons for the poor livestock productivity, this is the shortage of fodder, poor and inadequate nutrition. Certainly, quality, we have to see how we can enhance the quality of our fodder, hormonal imbalance, low productivity breeds. Certainly, here is the role of our animal scientists, how best we can go for the hormonal, to make it the hormonal balance in a proper way, how we can improve the breeds of the animals, and certainly we have to look after the disease and pest attack. So these are the reasons, and we have to see how best we can manage to overcome all these problems. Non-availability of adequate amount of quality fodder. This is one of the important reasons. Adequate amount of quality fodder is not available as it should be, and it is the reason for 50% of the total loss occurred in productivity and growth rate of the factors. So the major limiting factor is the non-availability of adequate amount of quality fodder. So certainly this 50%, we have to see how this 50% can be reduced to 30%, 20%, so that our livestock productivity, income from the livestock can be increased. And India is facing around 35.6, 11 and 44% deficit of green fodder, dry fodder and feed concentrate respectively. And this is as per our IGFRI report 2015. Now coming to the current livestock and fodder scenario in India, and this is the estimates. These estimates are taken by our IGFRI vision, and when we see that certainly there is an increase in the dry forage, and also there is the increase in the green forage. So certainly we have to see how can we can manage the green forage and dry forage, so that we can overcome the shortage, which is around 35%, 11% and 44%. So certainly we have to reduce the gap of the deficiency. Now, when we are talking about what are the limited fodder resources, certainly common grazing lands, we can get fodder from the common property resources, that is the common grazing lands, grassland and forest, cultivated fodder in terms of the annual fodder, or you can say whether it is a barsim, jowar, jai, or sorghum, pearl millet, maize. Then grasslands, you can go for the trees along with the different grasses, shrubs, agroforestry, trees and shrubs, crop residues. These are the some of the fodder resources which can be utilized for the huge number of animals. And productivity and area under pastures and grazing lands resources are declining due to the overgrazing. How it is declining? Because it is due to the overgrazing, land degradation, climate change, invasion of weeds, habitat fragmentation. So there are a lot of reasons, because whatever land is available, that is also used for the various causes, and that is also needed for our development of the country. So certainly these lands are being used for the different purposes, so many purposes, that is also important. So we have to see how best we can use to increase the productivity from this area, and only 5% of the total gross crop area in India is devoted to fodder crop cultivation, because there is a land is also a limited factor, and certainly we have to go according with how best we can go for this crop production, and how we can manage for the fodder production. So certainly a balance has to be taken care by the farmers. Now coming to the reasons for the shortage of the fodder in India, what are the major reasons which you can say that these are the reasons for shortage of fodder in India? These are the degraded grassland and pastures, because rejuvenation of the grassland and pastures are not taking place as it should be. Certainly we have to see how best we can rejuvenate the grassland and pastures, so that the productivity is maintained, sustained, or you can say that it can be increased also. Overgrazing is also another reason, because sometimes we are allowing more number of animals to a particular situation, and so certainly if there is you can say the feed for the 10 animals, but we are allowing more than 10, you can 30, 40 animals, certainly there will be overgrazing, and certainly we are going to lose the valuable grasslands. Declining productivity of the fodder resources, forest, grasslands, because in this way sometimes it is due to overgrazing, something due to degradation, our productivity is being declined. Shrinking of the agricultural lands and pastures, climate change and land degradation, and only 5% of the total gross crop area is devoted to fodder crop cultivation. So these are some of the reasons for the shortage of fodder in India, and how we have to see how best we can increase the fodder production, having the alternate land use system or climate resilient fodder system. Whenever we are talking of the climate resilient sustainable fodder production, these are some of the points we have to focus upon. These are the round the year supply of fodder to livestock. How can we manage for the round the year? Means from same piece of land, how best we can go for providing the availability of the fodder round the year. So we have to use the multi-tier system. Means here we are having the model of the 3-tier system. Means top layer we are having the you say that below layer we are having the grasses, above that we are having the shrubs, and topmost layer we are having the trees. So certainly we are having the multi-tier system, and from that these systems we can have the fodder 3-4 months from the grasses, 3-4 months from shrubs, and 2-3 months from the trees. So certainly we have to plan in such a way that we can get the fodder from the same piece of land from whole the year. And quality nutritious fodder production. Quality is also one of the important, because we have to go for the such type of the trees, such type of the shrubs which have the better quality, and we have to see the grasses and legume component also. When we are going for the grasses, certainly we have to go for the leguminous crops also, and adequate amount of the fodder production. So these are the some of the points we have to focus whenever we are talking about the climate resilient sustainable fodder production. Now, what are the challenges? Challenges in climate resilient sustainable fodder production: shrinking agricultural lands. Already we have talked about that more area under agriculture land cannot be devoted for fodder production. Certainly, agricultural land for the crop production is also one of the important, because we have to feed the 130 million population of the India. Certainly, such huge population we have to feed. So certainly we have to go for this agriculture production also. The shrinking of the natural resources, because whatever the natural resources, they are the used, you can say that unjudiciously. So certainly we have to see how we can minimize the shrinking of the natural resources. A lack of awareness among farmers, livestock keepers regarding importance of the quality fodder is sustainable. Still, some of our you can say the farmers and livestock are not well aware about the quality fodder. They are aware about the fodder, but the quality means how much you can say that the protein is there, fiber is there, another minerals, manganese, iron, calcium. You have to see some what are the important other micronutrients is also important for the quality. A lack of proper policy focusing on the grassland management and fodder production. Certainly, we have to come with some of the important policy from the policy makers, so that we can focus on the grassland management and fodder production, so that certain things can be done, and whatever we are getting, that can be enhanced, because we are also at present we are feeding the huge population of the livestock, but there is a need how to increase our availability of our fodder production. Now, the possible solutions for the climate resilient sustainable fodder production. This is the one of the alternate way, means utilizing alternate lands, non-cultivated lands for fodder production. These are the areas. Alternate land means non-cultivated lands, the lands which is not being used for the crop production. That land can be used for this our climate resilient sustainable fodder production, and it can be wastelands, grasslands, degraded areas, common property resources, fallow lands, barren lands. So we have to take account of these type of lands and how best we can use these type of lands for our fodder production. Now, coming to the silvopasture system for farm sustainability. Now, coming to the, whenever we are talking of the silvopasture, certainly there will be tree, there will be grasses and shrubs, and there will be animals. So we have go for the trees. We are talking of the 3-tier system. Certainly we have to go for the trees, then grasses, then also shrubs, and ultimately we will be having the animals. So until these are the components of the silvopasture system. And whenever we are talking of the scope for silvopasture, now cultivable wasteland is around 12.86 million hectare, permanent pastures and grazing lands is 10.26 million hectare, barren and uncultivated land is 16.99 million hectare, and when in terms of the percentage of the total geographical area, it is around 3.9% for the cultivable wasteland, 3.12% for permanent pastures and grazing lands, and 5.2% for barren and cultivated land. So certainly we have to take care of these type of lands, and we have to go for this silvopasture system in a scientific way, in well-planned manner, in these type of lands, wastelands, grazing lands, and barren and uncultivated lands. Now, coming to the silvopasture system for farm sustainability. As Garrett 2009, silvipasture management, like other form of agroforestry, is based on our thinking in both spatial and temporal domains. Certainly, we have to see the spatial and temporal domains, and it demands skills in managing rather than reducing complexity. We have to see how can manage all these systems in a very scientific way, and an understanding of hierarchical relationship within ecosystem and recognition that defined ecosystem boundaries exist primarily for managerial convenience are essential to this concept. So the silvipasture refers to combining trees, forest plants, and livestock in an integrated and intensively managed system. So this is the core of our presentation, means you have to manage trees, forest plants, and livestock in an integrated and intensively managed system. Now talking about the forest production and quality. Most grass and legume forests could perform equally well in agroforestry compared to open pasture system, as long as the root competition with other species remained minimal. So now this is that we have to see that there is no above ground competition and there is no below ground competition. So that's why we are taking these type of grass. We are taking the grasses, we are taking the shrubs, and we are taking the trees. So there is also not neither there is a competition for root below the ground, nor there is a competition for a space above the ground, because all are having different heights. Grasses goes on for a particular height, above that shrubs goes, and above that trees goes. Simultaneously for the root, there is also the same for the root competition. So there is no competition for the whether it is for the above ground and it is the below ground for our grasses, for their shrubs, and for the trees. So we have to go for the multi-tier system, and we have to see that the root competition with other species remain minimal. So we have to take care of these things. Most grass and legume forages would have quality equivalent or even greater when grown in silvipasture compared to open pastures. Certainly we have to see for the quality aspect, because we have to, whenever we are talking of the silvipasture system, we are talking of the grasses and legumes. We are not all, anytime we are talking only for the grasses, because the grasses has less protein as compared to the legumes. So certainly for a balanced diet, we have to go for the grass. If we are talking of the Cenchrus ciliaris, Cenchrus setigerus, Chrysopogon, certainly we are talking for the legume species like Stylosynthis, Clitoria, Stylosynthis. So certainly we have to see for the grass and legumes depending upon the situation, whether it is for the say arid, semi-arid, tropical, temperate situation. And silvipasture system are resistant to drought and adverse weather conditions. So this is the system which can withstand the drought and adverse weather conditions. So this is the one of the important climate resilience system. So silvipasture is the system which can resist to drought and adverse weather condition. And we have conducted the silvipasture experiment, our IGFRI, one of the example. We have taken the suitable tree grass combination for biomass production under the rain-fed condition of semi-arid region in India. We have taken the different trees like Ficus infectoria, it is called Pakar, Maduka latifolia, that is called Mahua, Morus alba shahtoot, and Acacia retrolytica, that is the Deshi Babul. We have also taken the different tree grass species, Cenchrus ciliaris, Anjan, Chrysopogon, Panicum, that is the Guinea, and we have taken the legumes, that is the Clitoria and Stylosynthis. So we are taking such type of competition that we can have the biomass for around the year, and even whatever fodder we are taking, that is also qualitatively, that is the rich in terms of the protein is concerned. And among these grass species, Panicum maximum produced higher biomass, followed by Chrysopogon fulvus, and among legume, we have the maximum production from the Stylosynthis sabrana. So these are the recommendations. Now coming to the livestock performance. The productivity of livestock in silvipasture system depend on the quality and yield of the forest. Whenever we are talking of the livestock performance, we have to see the production of the forages as well as the quality. Certainly only we have not to see how much production is taken. We have to see how much quality fodder is being produced. In arid and semi-arid areas of other lands submitted to extended periods of droughts, understory forest production alone is not enough to sustain the economically viable livestock production. Silvipasture offers alternative animal feed sources such as tree leaves or pods. So certainly tree leaves or tree pods is also one of the added component for the fodder production is concerned. Now coming to these are the tables of the qualities. Whenever we are talking of the tree leaves, these are the some of the samples. We are giving the some of the samples like Acacia nilotica, Elenthus excelsa, Azadirachta indica, Anogaesis latifolia, Dalbergia sisu, Prosopis cinerea, Lucina leucosophila, Cephela, Alvesia, Sesmania, Sesmum, Ziziphus mauriciana, Morus alba, Moringa, Ziziphus. These are the some of the trees as well as the some of the shrubs. When we see, these are the quality aspect: crude protein, crude fiber, ether extract, NDF, that is the neutral detergent fiber, as calcium, phosphorus. So you can see these are these trees and forests have the capacity to provide the quality aspect. They are capable of meeting the quality. So certainly, whenever we are going for any silviculture system, we have to use such type of the trees which are having good regeneration capacity, as well as when you are talking of the crude protein, range is from 12, 13 to 25%. Certainly, you have to see for your area, for your climatic condition, which type of trees is suitable, which is having the high biomass as well as the high quality content. So these things have to be kept in mind when we are planning for the silviculture system. How best we can utilize the crude protein, crude fiber, ether, NDF, AS, calcium, phosphorus. So these are the some of the examples we have to take care when we are going for planning for the silviculture system, climate resilient silviculture system. Now coming to the environmental benefits. Whenever talking of these are the still at present, when we are talking of the yield quality, there are the direct benefits, but some of the indirect benefits. We have also see how our systems are going to benefit our environmental condition. The environmental benefits of silviculture compared to open pasture systems are multiple and range from enhanced carbon storage to increased biodiversity. How best it is going to benefit the environment in terms of the enhanced carbon storage, as well as there is an enrichment in the biodiversity. We are going to increase the biodiversity, as well as we are going to enhance the carbon storage. So certainly, by this way, we are going to benefit the environment, and carbon storage potential of the different compartments of the silviculture are increasingly valued in present context of climate change. Whenever we are talking of the climate change situation, so this carbon storage is one of the components. Now the role, how we can say that the silviculture have the role in the climate resilience. Trees are less susceptible than annual crops to weather variability and extreme climate, droughts or floods. So certainly, if they are less susceptible, certainly that system will be the climate resilient system. Tree-based systems also deliver products such as fruits that can be also used for our human beings, and fodder, as well as the fuel, wood and timber. So certainly this tree-based system are going to be benefited for the human beings, as well as for the livestock. Certainly this is the system, tree-based systems. At the same time, they store significantly amounts of the carbon in trees and soil. Recognizing the ability of MPTS system to address multiple problems and deliver multiple benefits, the IPCC, that is the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, third assessment report on the climate change, states that the tree-based systems can both sequester carbon and produce a range of economic, environmental and socio-economic benefits. So certainly tree-based systems can both sequester carbon and produce a range of economic, environmental and socio-economic benefits. So certainly, for example, trees in agroforestry help improve soil fertility through control of erosion, maintenance of soil organic matter and physical properties increased, and extraction of nutrients from deep and soil origins, and promotion of more closed nutrient cycling. And it is believed that the intervention under tree-based system no doubt provide the best adaptation measures in making communities resilient to the impacts of the climate change. So certainly, because silvopasture system is less affected by the weather variability and extremes, certainly it is going to be one of the important climate resilient fodder production system. Now, whenever we are talking of the what are the benefits of the silvopasture system compared to the treeless pastures, what are the benefits? These are the some of the important benefits. That is the increased production of the higher quality forest. Whenever we are talking of the silvopasture, there is the higher quality forest and higher storage of carbon in both above ground and below ground compartments of the system. This is the one of the important, you can see, that is the indirect effect, or that is the effect which is not visible. But nowadays we are going to quantify how best we can quantify the indirect effect. Improvement of the soil property. Certainly it is going to improve our soil property due to greater uptake of nutrients from deeper soil layers. Our systems are taking nutrients from such layers which is not used by the other our crop system. So certainly we are taking the uptakes for nutrients for deeper soil system, enhanced availability of nutrients from leaf litter. Certainly whatever leaf litter is going after decomposition, it is going to increase the soil organic carbon content and increase nitrogen inputs by the end to fixing trees. So the trees which are going to fix the nitrogen are also going to help our the soil condition, and enhanced resilience of the soil to degradation, nutrient loss and climate change, improved water holding and infiltration capacity of the soil, which contributes to the regulation of the hydrological cycle by reducing runoff. Certainly whenever we are having this type of system, certainly we are going to conserve the soil as well as the water, because these systems are going to reduce the runoff. Whenever you are going to reduce the runoff, certainly there will be less soil and you can say the soil and water loss, and habitats of the higher biodiversity and improved animal welfare. So these are the some of the benefits which you can account by growing this silvopasture system. Now coming to the what are the different tree-based perennial systems. These are the some of the direct benefits. Whenever you are talking of the direct benefits in terms of the product, you can get food, fodder, fertilizer, feed, fiber, fuel, furniture, timber, biopesticides, medicine. These are the products. Food, it can be used for our human being also, fodder for animals. So these are the some of the benefits. Then coming to the climate, means shade creation, microclimate, CO2 reduction, soil aspects. So these are the some of the aspects. Now coming to the some of the indirect benefits, then the agro ecosystem, biomass, mulch. So these are the some of the system you can see that the tree-based perennial system have multiple direct benefits in terms of the product, in terms of the climate, in terms of the carbon sequestration, in terms of the agro ecosystem, water, socio-economic conditions. So these are the some of the system which are going to have our direct benefit, as well as the system is going to have the indirect benefit also. So certainly this is the system which is going to the directly benefited, directly giving benefit to the human as well as the animal population, and also indirect benefit to whole of our system. Now coming to the climate resilience for farm sustainability. Whenever you are talking of the sustainability, now coming to the, this is the one of the important natural resources, that is the rainwater harvesting. Rainwater harvesting is defined as a method for inducing, collecting, storing and conserving local surface runoff for agriculture in arid and semi-arid region. Now coming to the, in deciding which technique to use to make more efficient use of the available water, it is important to consider how crops receive or lose water. Crops receive water through rainfall, certainly irrigation and stored soil water. They lose it through runoff, evaporation and drainage. So certainly we have to take how much we can receive, but how less we are going to lose. So certainly we have to see how best we can receive and how less we are going to lose. So certainly we have to take on these aspects, greater to receive and less to lose. Now what are the key principles for effective rainwater management? Certainly We have to use rainwater effectively. Certainly, we have to use whatever rainwater we are saying. We have to effectively use, make effective use of the soil water reserves. Certainly, because rainwater, or you can say any water, is the very precious thing. So we have to use how best you can use this soil water. Take measures to avoid runoff. This is the one important point. Avoid wasting water through evaporation. We have to see how best we can manage to have the less evaporation, reduce water losses through drainage, and plan your irrigation. So these are the things we have to keep your mind whenever you are talking of the natural resource management in terms of the water. So different rainwater harvesting techniques. These are some of the important rainwater harvesting techniques, whether it is contour farming, jal kund, mulching, cover crops or green manures, semicircular bunds, earth basins, planting pits. So these are some of the things we have to take for conserving our rainwater. And also we are having some of the other alternate rainwater harvesting systems, like water harvesting from external catchment or jal kund. So here in our experiments, jal kund made of silpoline, that is one type of plastic of size 5 into 4 into 1.5 meter, means 30 cubic meter, was established in the silviculture horticulture system. Purpose of providing irrigation water at the time of requirement, but also reduce the cost of irrigation. It is also through this structure we are collecting the water, and we are reducing the cost of the applying the irrigation during the time of need. So this is the one of the structure, and this is the size of 5 meter by 4 meter by 1.5 meter, 5 meter length, 4 meter depth, and 1.5 meter depth. 5 meter length, 4 meter width, and 1.5 meter depth. And capacity is the 30 cubic meters, means you are going to store 30,000 liters. And in 1 hectare, we have prepared 2 number of jal kunds per hectare. Water storage around 60,000 liters. And 400 plants, we are having 400 plants per hectare at the spacing of 5 by 5. We are having the 400 plants, and it saves 3 to 4 irrigation. February to May, when there is a harsh temperature in this our Jhansi condition, and cost of silpoline is around 6,000. It may be increased, maybe 7,800, but at the time of purchase 3-4 years back, it was 6,000. And the cost of irrigation water from tanker, one tanker 4,000 liters, number of plants irrigated per tanker is around 100, and one tanker cost is around 1,000. So 4 tanker per hectare per irrigation. Total tanker required for 4 irrigation in 1 hectare around 16,000 rupees, and this cost is only 6,000. So need-based irrigation enhanced plant survival and reduced mortality due to drought, help in water and soil conservation. So certainly in situ water conservation in silviculture system through jal kund is it must. Whenever we are talking of the silviculture system, we have to talk for the soil and water conservation. Then these are some of the models, the silviculture models for highly degraded and wastelands. We have developed some of the silviculture systems, have good production potential of forages on degraded rangelands that supports 2 to 4 ACU, means 1 ACU means 350 kg body weight, means 2 to 4 ACU means whether it may be 2 to 4 big animals, or you can say 15 to 20 small animals in terms of sheep and goats. So 1 ACU means any animals having the 350 kg body weight. It may be a combination of 10 to 15 goats or sheep, or it may be one buffalo, or you can say one cow and one calf. So this is it can support 2 to 4 ACU per year, depending upon a species of tree, pastures, combination, and agroclimatic. So this is the general 2 to 4, and it may vary depending upon your productivity of the system. Then establishment cost is around 40,000 to 50,000 per hectare. This is the one-time cost. First year, this is the establishment cost. And BC ratio over the period of 10 years, it is the average 1.5 to 2, but in our condition, because you have to simply, I have mentioned the lower side, it is 1.5 to 2, but it is also 2 to 3, 2.4 to 3.4 also, and forage production around 5 to 10 ton dry matter per hectare per year. So these are some of the examples. This is the ficus-based silvipasture system. This is for the tropical and semi-arid. Rainfall requirement is the 400 to 600 to 700 millimeter per annum. Forage production is around 11 to 12 ton dry matter, and ACU it can support 3 to 4 per hectare. And we can have the combination of the different grasses like the chrysopogon, cenchrus, panicum, legume. We can have the Clitoria and Stylocenthus, and fodder ability from grasses and legumes from July to December, and tree leaves we have to from March to June. Again, system we are having this Hardwickia based silvipasture systems. So these are the different system, semi-arid condition. So just we want to say this is the picture, this is the grown in our field condition. So this is the Hardwickia based silvipasture system. Again, we have the Morus based silvipasture system. हेलो, अरे एक मेरा प्रेजेंटेशन चल रहा है, थोड़ी देर के बाद में बात करते हैं. This is the Morus based silvipasture system, Acacia based silvipasture system. These are our some of the already you can say that well planned, or you can say that already evaluated silvipasture system. And this is the one of the example which we have developed our system. In IGFRI, Jhansi silvipasture model for round the year fodder supply was established, and we are having this system. We are having the trees, ficus, maduka, morus, acacia. Legume we are having the Clitoria, Stylocenthis, and grasses we are having the chrysopogon, panicum maximum, and cenchrus ciliaris. And we are talking of the growth and yield. Maximum pruned biomass was obtained from Morus alba, followed by acacia, ficus, then maduka, and sometimes it differs from year to year. So this is the some of the example we are giving, and as per the year sometimes it is also varied. And water efficiency was maximum with panicum maximum, followed by chrysopogon fulvus, cenchrus ciliaris, Stylocenthis, and Clitoria. So this is the system we have developed. This is the our land which is highly degraded gravelly, and just we have preparation, and we have developed through grass and legume sowing, covering of seeds. And this is the ficus based system, this is the mulberry based system, this is the acacia, this is subabul. So these are the systems you can develop, and you can develop highly, you can say that even our degraded lands can be developed in a better way. And now coming to the some of the examples regarding this, the environmental benefits. So we have calculated in our system the total soil organic carbon, microbial biomass carbon, labile carbon, and recalcitrant carbon in surface soil, that is 0 to 15 centimeter, and subsurfaces, that is the 15 to 30 centimeter soil layers, as influenced by the 10 years. So when we are talking to different system, we have compared it for the ficus, morus based system, acacia, and leucaena. So we have calculated for the 0 to 15 centimeter, that is the surface, and subsurface 15 to 13 centimeter, and this is for the fallow land. And when we have compare in comparison to fallow land, the total organic carbon, or you can say that microbial biomass carbon, is 2 to 2.5 times greater in comparison to fallow. So you can say that how this total organic carbon and microbial biomass carbon is increasing in comparison to fallow land, it is 2 to 2.5 times more. So certainly you can see in terms of the morus, it is highly for the morus whenever surface system is concerned, followed by acacia. Same for the total organic carbon. Whenever we are talking of the subsurface, it was higher in the acacia, followed by the morus. And depending upon this biomass production, and you can say that the leaf litter fall and root degeneration. So, and in the whenever you are talking of the grasses, it is total organic carbon, and the microbial biomass carbon is higher in Guinea, followed by the cenchrus. So we have published a good paper on this aspect also, and here we have calculated the carbon management index, biological activity index, and eco restoration efficiency in surface and subsurface soils and soil layers as influenced after 10 years. So we have calculated CMI, that is the carbon management index. We have calculated the biological activity index and eco restoration efficiency, and we are saying that whenever we are after having the tabulation by calculating different ERE, eco restoration efficiency, is calculated based on the CMI and the BII. So here we can say that the total eco restoration efficiency is higher in case of the acacia followed by the mulberry. And you can say so certainly this is the one of the important benefit of our system. We are going to have the good eco restoration efficiency, and in grasses it is higher for the guinea and followed by the cenchrus. Now coming to the fodder ability from the round the year silvopasture system. So just in our experiment, whatever we have observed, that from grass and legumes we are having the multi-tier system, that is the ground system grass, for then after on that this is shrub trees. So July to December we are going to have this grass legumes. We are having the in some field we are having the grasses, even in some field we have the shrubs and trees, and we are in some system we are having the combination on the same field. So we are having the different systems. Even on one field we can have the multi-tier, and we can have the separate system. In one field we have the grass and trees, and another we are having this legume, these shrubs with the grasses. So in overall, this from grass and legumes we are going to have green fodder from July to December. And if there is sometimes winter rain is there, we can have the March April grazing. So 64% we are getting from the grass component. From shrub components we are going to get the 15%, that is from February to April, and from tree we are going to get the 21% from January to June. So this is the one of the systems of 10 ton per hectare. On that basis we have taken the 10 ton, and we have calculated the assumptions out of this, how percentage can be developed. So now coming to the conclusion, that is the climate resilient silvopasture system as an integrated land use practice can be economically and environmentally sustainable. Alternate lands like wastelands, barren lands and grasslands in India can be utilized for establishing tree-based forest production system for sustaining quality fodder supply to livestock sector. Tree-based alternate land use system are also capable for reclaiming degraded lands and providing other tangible means in terms of the fodder, means yield, fruit, and non-tangible means the how it is going to restore the ecosystem. Establishment cost of this system is very low, and whatever we are establishing cost, that is for the first year only, and after that we have to manage the system with very less cost. And there is a need to focus on establishing such climate resilient silvopasture system on alternate lands in India for sustaining fodder supply. Perhaps this is the last slides. So thanks to all the participants. Hello.
Hello?
Now I have finished.
Yes, sir, I know. Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot. Now, if there are any questions, please ask.
Okay.
So there is one question in chat box, sir. There is one question in chat box.
Chat was okay. This one, perhaps.
How to measure carbon footprint on soil and plants, sir?
Actually, there are different methods now. There is also even for soil and for this plant now, there are systems, and we cannot present in detail how we are going to collapse. So we are taking the samples. Sometimes it is the destruction method, sometimes without destruction we are also taking. There are some of the formulas, and after we are also taking we are taking the different systems for litter fall. We are taking the root decomposition content of how much root has decomposed. So on that basis, even how much carbon is present in the you can see the trees, and how much it is present with the grasses, and so these are the system. On that basis we have to be calculating. Okay.
One question is, sir, I can find research study on production or reproduction performance regards to this system, or you had conducted experiment in vivo trials.
Again, can you repeat?
Sir, can I find research study on production or reproductive performance regards to this system you had, or you had conducted experiment in vivo trials?
No. Already we have conducted our own experiments, and we are having the findings in terms of the research paper. So you can see our publications, and you can find the results, how this system is providing, and how we are calculating our the different components. So we have done this research. We have not compiled. We have done these are from our own experiments.
Are there any further questions? I think we have gone over our allotted time.
Okay. If anybody wants to interact, they can interact even after this training
Yes, sir,
program.
yes, sir.
Webinar. So certainly they are quite open. Anytime they can ask related to this our Sylvie Passer system, Horty Passer system, grassland activities, and we have a well managed system, and we will be happy to share our experience as well as the whatever we are doing at our research
Sir,
station.
I'll share your email address with them so that they can communicate to you.
So I will be very much happy if I get any type of query from any
Sir,
participant.
I've shared your email with them. Sir, can you reply to the email with your PPT so that I could expect?
My email,
Yes, sir, I have given them. Sir,
that RV Kumar 444.
yeah, I have given them. I've given them already.
Okay, they can interact whenever they find time, or they find any problem, or they want to upgrade their knowledge. Now myself and my team will certainly be available all the time.
Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot. And on this note, I would like to take this opportunity to thank you for being with us on behalf of the participants as well as organizing committee, sir. Thank you. Thanks a lot for being with us.
Okay, thank
And
you.
for giving us this opportunity to learn through your valuable presentation and the interaction. Thank you, sir.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.